All right, you're live.
Good morning. I'll call the Audit Committee meeting for June 17th, 2024 to order. We have a quorum. First order of business is the approval of the agenda, which you should have copies of from our May 20th meeting. Are there amendments to the agenda? Otherwise, I'll accept a motion to approve.
Motion to approve the agenda as submitted.
Second.
Thank you. In terms of old business, we're still the audit committee vacancies. Kim, were you able to contact Anthony?
I did send him an email following receipt of his information.
All right. Well, we'll see if he gets it and if he's willing to put up with this incredibly long time to get him sworn in. Mr. Cardillo.
Mr. Chair, can we approve the minutes from the prior meeting?
I thought we did.
We approved the agenda.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, thank you. I thought I had asked for motion to edit or approve the minutes. If I did not, let's do that now. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes
Aye.
have it. All right. So I have not checked my email, Jim, but you said you gave me the name of another person. I'll get that email and contact them. You're on mute. Jim, you're on mute. So,
oh, my apologies. I forwarded it to you again to move it to the top of your inbox. So
okay, thank you.
Hopefully you'll see it. Please contact me today if you have any questions.
I will do that. By the way, your hand gestures are very expressive, so I almost knew what you were saying even on mute. All right.
You want to silence in Italian, make him sit on his hands.
The next item on the agenda is performance measures. I think we went over that fairly thoroughly at the last meeting. Vicki, is there any update?
The only update I have was just to let you know that I've chosen the next round of departments to work with this next year to revamp, just to give you a preview. So the 4 that I'll be working with this next time is planning and zoning, IT, OEM, and the harbor master's office.
Okay, that sounds like an interesting group of people.
Yep, should be.
Any questions about performance measures from the committee? All right, to my knowledge, we have nothing active in terms of risk assessment, fraud, or abuse hotline. So I think that takes care of that item. So we get to this UHY limited public accountant discussion that we started at the last meeting. Jim, you were going to work with the finance director. Do we have anything to report on this issue?
Yeah, I'll let Jody speak. I was a participant in a meeting set up between UHY and Jody and her team.
Madam Finance Director.
Yes, hello. So we met with the auditors, Julie and Jim and I, and we talked about what they would like to do. As I told you, they have spent many more hours on this engagement than what was included in their bid. And they're in a situation where they're losing money on the job, and wanted to talk about possibly getting some additional fees for this next year. In addition, we are going to ask for their help in preparation of the ACFR document itself, the PDF, the book. We would still be preparing all the financial information, but the gathering up of the book is a bit of a task. And so they gave us a fee estimate on what they would like to see. Now for the ACFR preparation, it's going to cost us, I think their I have the schedule in front of me, 11,375 is what they want to do for that. What they've asked for for the regular audit work that they're currently doing is an extra $10,200. So that's right now they're charging us between 60 and requested fee. Trying to see the comparative amount for this year, like 64 is what we were paying, and this is 10,000 on top of that. I think I could fit it into my budget as is, and I just wanted to get the audit committee's thoughts on what I should do there. Do we want to agree to the 10,000? Do we want to propose something else? Stick with what we have, because they are committed to the current fee, but their realization is very low on the job. In fact, they're losing funds, so they've been asked to try to see if they can get some extra fees.
So Anne Marie and Jim, you are our resident experts in this area. I don't think it seems like a lot of money, but any thoughts?
So, if I could, a little bit of history. We put the audit out to bid 2 years ago, and we got responses, and we had 4 firms that we would deem qualified, and then we scored those 4 proposals, and we ended up recommending UHY among the 4 candidates. Each firm was required to submit in their proposal the expected number of hours and the fee. UHY had audited that had hours more than 10% lower than the other 3 firms. So it's possible they did not realize the scope of the work. They've done 1 audit for us, right, Jody? 1?
2.
Two, I'm sorry. So they committed to the fee in year 1. They did the audit, and then they did it again for year 2, and now they're in the 3rd year, and they're saying we need some relief here. We have estimated poorly. I did ask them, was this a result of additional hours, or is it due to your cost per hour going up? And they said, yes, it is partially due to their cost per hour going up. The cost of professional services exceeds the rate of inflation to attract and retain qualified auditors. So yes, they are, number one, trying to recover what you would call maybe a mistake in the scope of the job, and number 2, their increased costs. So I guess the only thing that I viewed as negative on this whole matter was we were really presented with one option. It's not like we could now engage another firm at this stage. So, and I'm not saying we have to, I'm just saying that we have one option. If we continue with UHY, they would request this $10,000 increase, or they would commit to doing it for the contracted fee. I don't know if that's going to create any sort of adversarial relationship where we won't get the staff, we won't get timely work done. I don't know if they would then move us down in the priority list because of the because we said no to the fee. So those are just some of the touchy parts of the relationship. From what I can gather, it's a competent team. The engagement partner, this will be his 3rd year here with us. So, you know, all 3 years that Jason has been on the engagement, all 3 years that UHY has been engaged, Jason has been on the engagement.
I will
Jody,
say
please.
say that I think that they would do their best to give us really good service. I think that's always been a push of theirs. It's they've got it's 3 more years, right, Julie? Is it 3 or 2 more years of optional years on the contract? And each year has an increase to it in accordance with inflation. And this year's would have been, according to the calculation, 2.9%. But as Jim said, their increase is higher than that coming these last 2 years. They did the first 2 years with a flat fee, and then they started with the inflation factor this third year. I think they would strive to do the best they can. I don't know if they would get pressure from the firm to speed up, to try to do less work. I'm hoping that wouldn't occur because they've got their professional opinion they have to issue on financial statements. It would just be painful for them. And I don't know if we need to offer the whole 10,000 or if we want to meet them partway. I don't know how the committee feels about that.
Oh, that's interesting. I hadn't considered that. Thank you. I thought it was I don't want to say take it or leave it. I thought it was, we need an extra $10,000 or we'll continue under the previous, but we'll
I don't
swallow
know.
the bitter pill.
Julie,
Yeah, I get that.
do
Now
you
I
have any
understand.
feelings on whether or not that they?
I'm sure that they would like anything. I think this is where Jason fell out when he ran the numbers, and I'm almost certain that it is a conservative estimate still of what he thinks the time will be. We're getting better every year too, and their people are sticking around. They've had some turnover as well, which adds some time.
So are you happy with them as our contractor?
Yeah, I only had the one audit season experience prior to this, but they've been absolutely responsible. I mean, prior to UHY, I've only worked with one other set of auditors in the city of Annapolis, and I found them to be super responsive to me. They answer my questions. They think about them thoughtfully, and they've done everything they can.
Yeah,
so I'm very happy with them.
We really get good service from them. At the end of, I think that our other auditors were likely running into the same issue, more hours, less realization. They had more jobs added to their schedule, and we were not getting as much attention. And so this was one of the reasons that we needed to go out to bid anyways, but it was one of the things that we considered when we were looking at the proposals. And our auditors previously bid, I think it was close to 100,000. It was somewhere in the upper 90s. I think that they bid, which, as Jim said, was much higher, much higher than the UHY bid. So anyways, I've been really happy with their services. As far as responsiveness goes, they're very helpful. And we've had to implement a couple of technical GASBs, and they've been helpful with that as well. And that's always nice to have that resource when you have an issue. What should I do in this case? And then they respond quickly.
Any other, Anne Marie, do you have any observations?
We briefly talked about it on the last call, but we were mentioning there might be some issues with procurement. I don't know what the city rules are around that, since we already had a contract, and how to negotiate that space just internally within the city. So that was the first item. And the second was, did they mention anything about kind of renegotiating any future years, or kind of just handling this year and then talking about the options?
We haven't really talked about the following year.
Okay.
I would, if we end up doing this extra 10,000, I would not. I would stick with their current contracted inflation rate for the next couple years on top of the 10,000. I wouldn't want to go any higher than that. And as far as procurement, so the procurement officer offered some suggestions, including valuing these extra services they're going to perform. Now that's, if you include the extra services, the extra fee is about $20,000. But more than half, a little bit more than half of that is the act for preparation. the extra services is valued at 10,000. And I'm sorry, the extra fee is 10,000. He said that since I said there were the couple of GASB statements that came out, one for leases, one for software-based, subscription-based information technology software arrangements. Those were very technical in nature. We could assign some additional fees to those if we needed to.
So it seems to me the essential elements are that you're happy with their performance. This is clearly a fundamental function for the city. We have to have this, have always had this kind of outside support. I believe we've done our due diligence in having the help with Jim involved from the committee. But before I say more, let me recognize Alderwoman Pendle Charles.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, so much. Not only am I encouraged by the explanations I've heard this morning from Ms. Dickinson and Ms. Donnelly, but our experts, Mr. Cardillo, and it sounds like Ms. Baker's in agreement as well. And I do believe I will vote for what they are, excuse me, for what they're advising us to do.
So I think appropriately, in order to make sure that we have this all properly documented, there would be a motion from the audit committee to recommend approval of the additional $10,200 to recognize increased costs and on the part of the contractor. Is there such a motion?
So moved.
I have a second. Apparently, I will be seconding it. Is there further discussion? Mr. Cardillo.
Can I amend? I hadn't considered what Jody had mentioned. They're asking here for two things. One, an increase in the base fee, and then they're offering to do additional work for an additional fee. Would it be possible to say we would accept 50% of the additional fee in year one and 50% in year two to kind of soften the blow? Is that, I mean,
I
you're
guess I will have
talk.
two
I
different
don't know.
two different opinions. In my federal career, I had extremely large contracts. I mean, contracts in the tens of millions of dollars per annum. And I always felt that keeping my contractor as a good partner, and there's nothing like dollars to make them a good partner and give you priority was essential. The other thing, though, is we're talking about an almost $200 million budget, and we're quibbling over 5,000 or 10,000. I mean, I think we need to be responsible to the citizens' tax dollars, but I guess in the interest of keeping good relations from a partner that we're satisfied with, I would really recommend that we give them, and Julie, I think, indicated that they probably still were on the conservative side, which I accept. And so Alderwoman Pendle Charles.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to have you on record for about the quibbling over $5,000 or $10,000. I'm going to hold you to that
on
one.
The record.
There you go. Very good.
I'm going to hold you to that one. I got a bunch of things I want you to vote on, but no, I'm just joking.
Okay,
Go
I
ahead.
withdraw the
trying
amendment.
to make a comparison.
I withdraw the amendment.
2% of the entire budget.
Too late. But anyway,
I withdraw the amendment. No, that's fine.
I agree with it. That's Mr. Cardillo is a valid amendment, but I agree with our chair that yes, let's go ahead and do it. I value Ms. Dickinson's assessment of this entire process, and if she feels very comfortable that we can do that at this point, let's do it at this point. One doesn't ever know what happens tomorrow or next week. So thank you, Mr. Cardillo, for that suggestion, but very valid, but let's move on and get it done. Thank you.
So we have a
Understood.
motion and a second, and we've had discussion. Any further discussion? All those in favor of approving the audit committee motion to forward the additional $10,200 signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All right. I think we have taken care of that. We've done our due diligence, and we hope that this will work out very well for our finance department, because if it works out for our finance department, it works out for us. So
Yes, thank you. Thank you. I think Julie's got to drop off soon, so I just asked her to sit in for this bit.
sure.
Thank
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Yep.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is new business, and that is a report from the finance director.
So new business, as you all know, the budget is almost, there's a couple of resolutions, a resolution and ordinance, I think that's going to be on tonight's agenda just to kind of wrap up everything. But for the most part, the budget is completed. And that was quite a feat, and thank my budget staff wholeheartedly for all their help and the council's help as well, because we got through this. It seems like every year it's just a little bit easier. Maybe it's because we're used to the process and we know what's coming. So that made the last couple meetings very much smoother than I thought it was going to be. And we're heading now into the season of the financial statement audit, and so we're very busy closing the year end. The new pay scales coming into July create a lot of extra work on the administrative side as far as getting everybody's pay updated to the new rates. So that's going to take a bit of an effort. And we have a few new things in the union agreements that have to be also implemented. So we're going to be busy with that. Those are the two major things we're facing. I've hired 2 accountants. One is starting, I believe, this week on Thursday, and the other is starting a couple weeks, the Monday after the July 4th holiday. I'm talking to other candidates about the senior accountant position. So hopefully we'll have those filled fairly quickly. And we're still working on the senior buyer position. Went through a whole advertisement interview process and didn't have the candidate that we wanted declined to meet for a second interview. So we're going to have to keep looking, and we don't know if we're going to try to fill it at the senior level or try to fill it at the buyer level instead. Maybe easier to fill it at the buyer level, although it's not what we had originally envisioned for that position. So I'll keep you updated on that, but those are the major elements I'm working with. I'll be coming to council with a bond ordinance soon to approve the authority to issue bonds for our projects per the updated FY25 budget.
Alderwoman Pendle Charles.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ms. Dickinson, if you review those resumes for those positions, if it's somebody that looks like they could join our police department, please let us know.
Okay, well, yeah.
Just a little side note there.
No, I know, and I've heard about others talking about using opportunities to try to recruit police officers. It's not always what I'm thinking about when I'm trying to interview for accountants, but
You never know.
yeah, you don't.
Okay, thank you.
Well, you were not here, Director Dickinson, when I was speaking with Vicki, but Rhonda can attest in my rather lengthy constituent email that I recognized and thanked you, your staff, Vicki, Teresa, Tricia Hopkins, for particularly a thorough report on the union contracts. And I think that at our FAC meeting last week, the FAC members, although they were upset about not having more time, did recognize the thoroughness of the report, and that took considerable time for me to read through and prepare for tonight's meeting, but also to prepare it for the message. But if anyone does not know what we're doing in terms of these very complicated and important negotiations. If they read my constituent email, they will know, and that's because of the work in the staff report, but also the work to get the negotiations done. So I want to thank you for that, you and your staff, and you could pass that on. Is there anything for the good of the order? Boy, we're getting very efficient here with these meetings. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye.